Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Lurkin from Mobalytics, and take two on this. I do a few takes to try and make it a bit more concise each time. So this is firebolt and teleport enchant. The board's looking really good. Everything's looking juiced on this, and it took me a while, but I got it feeling really nice. And that's countless runs in the pit. So this is how I do it. No cheese, no, no perma flame shield, just a normal fucking build. All right. So a few things to note: Paingorgers, so damaging an enemy now has to be a non-basic skill cast. So you hit them with a teleport, they're all going to get marked. But then let's take these guys down here. An evade teleport is not going to proc it, and firebolt enchant is no longer going to proc it. So we can't rely on firebolt. Used to make them all get the thing over their head, and so did the evade teleport. So now it's only going to be, we're going to cast the blizzard. It's going to freeze enemies eventually. And yep, so the blizzard marks them, freezes them eventually. Nice little crowd control. And then we can either teleport on them, we can either flame shield on them, and yeah, those are the ways that we mark enemies. And with the protection passive, it no longer works. That's the barrier when you use a cooldown. It no longer works with teleport enchant, and it no longer works. Let's wait for the unstable barrier to go away. It no longer works with the unstable currents casts. So this is why we're going to keep ice armor, teleport, and flame shield on the build. You need to be a little bit more wary of your barriers. They aren't just perma up anymore. You actually need to press buttons. Alright, so let's go into the skills. I'm going to go over all the aspects first, and then we'll do affixes. So there are four offensive aspects in this build. We have Storm Swell on the amulet. That's 1.3x, so that's 1.45x. We have Conceited, that's 1.25x. We don't opt to take adaptability. Moonrise is just better, and I tried adaptability, and I just felt better with the flat multis from Storm Swell and Conceited. So this one is crazy. It gives us 20% attack speed. That lets us hit the 100% cap, and we get the Blood Rage for 80% basic skill damage and some movement speed. And then lastly is Rapid, and that is for just more attacks in general, because Rapid is the second bucket, so it ignores like the 100% cap of the first one that is filled up with all your attack speed rolls. Basic skill damage is different. Basic skill attack speed is different. So we do take Rapid. It makes the build feel really nice, and in combination with like Hectic, we get a ton of cooldowns back. So those are our offensive aspects, and then we actually have a fifth one. It's this one right here. Lucky hit, chance to daze, and then we do 20% increased damage to daze enemies. This thing is a stagger machine. You stagger the life out of bosses, and you do 20. And this is a crazy offensive aspect, a crazy utility aspect that acts as an offensive one. And then lastly, we have Hectic, so that when we cast our basic skills, it reduces all the cooldowns on our skill bar. So one thing to note: if you're feeling really squishy, you can drop. You have to keep Hectic, but you can drop Concussive for Aspect of Might. That's the casting a basic skill, gives you 20% DR. So one thing to note, I'm just going to do the attack speed really quick. And our resist should be fine when we're out of the PTR, because these aren't really upgrading. Like this should be 28%, but the implicits are not upgrading with Masterworking right now. So the attack speed, you want to hit 80%. And the reason being is when you get the 20% from Moonrise, you're going to hit the 100% cap. And then when you use Unstable Currents, that'll take you over, because Unstable is the second bucket as well. So let's see if I can get a little showcase here of this. So let's see, we're at 80.6. We're going to pop UC, and then boom, 125. We got our Moonrise the proc. And yeah, so that was perfect. So you want to be just over 80, or just right at 80, and then you should be good. So let's go over the affixes. So helmet, it is cooldown reduction and armor. Those are the most important. And then you flex, max life, or int. Depends how you want to be tankier, you want to do more damage. And then stun duration and total armor. Next, the priorities to the masterwork on here, it doesn't really matter. Maybe the ranks to glass cannon if you can get another rank out of it. I'm not entirely sure. Just play around with that. These are all fine, honestly. Every single one of these. Next is Paingorgers. You're going to want to prioritize crit strike chance. Basically, anything but the all stats roll is what you want to prioritize on your masterworking. Next is your pants. Ranks to Arc Lash and Armor. Those are the two mandatories. If you get 3 ranks to Arc Lash, you need to hit a double masterwork to get 5 ranks. So basically what I would do when you're masterworking pants is I would try and hit the Arc Lash masterwork first so that you get 4. And then honestly after that I would just pray. And whatever happens, happens. And then on here you're going to want total armor and stun duration. Ideally you probably want to hit the masterworks like exactly how mine is. You can't see it, but I have 2 masterworks on Arc Lash and 1 on armor. Next is Flicker Steps. You're going to want to hit your masterworks on basically damage to close. Anything but ultimate damage and all stats. Next, let's go over the implicits of... Let's go over the temperings of our weapons first. So damage to close, first tempering on both of them. Second one, lucky hit poison on one, lucky hit shadow on another. You do get the ranks. So you do get the Talrasha stacks. So right here, 5 Talrasha stacks. And I have tested it, and it do be feeling like it's working. So actually on this, you're going to want int, attack speed, and vuln damage. And you'd probably want to prioritize attack speed and damage to close. Unless, you know, the attack speed one, that comes down to how your gear's looking and where your masterworks have hit and if you're over 80 or not. But damage to... The largest additives get the most value out of the 25% increase, so that's why damage to close is important. And then next, I'd want attack speed, crit strike chance, and cooldown reduction, and you're going to want to hit your masterworks on anything but lucky hit shadow. So ideally crit strike chance and cooldown reduction. Next, for the non-unique ring, it is int, attack speed, and crit strike chance. And then you're gonna want to hit a damage to close tempering, and I don't know all the temperings what can go on rings, but for now it's unstable currents cooldown. You're gonna want to hit your masterworks on crit strike chance, int, damage to close, anything like that, or attack speed, just anything with the UC cooldown reduction, because our UC is up all the time. You're gonna want to hit the masterwork on your Talrasha on cooldown reduction or non-fizz. That's all pretty non-negotiable, but whatever happens, happens. Next is our amulet. So I have the most juiced amulet in the world. This is the best amulet I've ever seen. The temperings are damage to close and evade cooldown reduction, and that's the way it is. We'll see if any more crazy temperings get out. But I think it's a bug in the PTR that we're able to have 3 ranks of Conj Mastery and 3 ranks of Dev Blaze. You have to hit a greater masterwork on the rank currently for it to go from 2 to 3. Not a greater match. You have to hit a masterwork on a passive to get it to go up a rank. It's pretty annoying. So ideally you would have crit strike chance, cooldown reduction, and 3 ranks Dev Blaze. I believe 3 ranks Dev Blaze outscales Conj Mastery for this build because we aren't making that many conjurations. You'll probably get 10 tops. So let's go into the skill tree. Skill tree certainly has some flex points. So we're going to max out Arc Lash and take Glinting, 1 point firebolt for the enchant. This is a bit of a flex, but you're going to need points in either you're going to need points in Chain Lightning or Ball Lightning to get Crackling Energy. That's the whole point of these, because we have the charged Glyph, you'll see. And then we do take Destructive Charge Bolts so that the enemies do less damage to us. I opted to take the full points in Flame Shield so that it can heal me. It just kind of helps. We max out Teleport, and we do take Shimmering. Mystical's fine. We'll see what kind of shenanigans we can... Mystical's not fine in this build, but in general for like Overworld and some stuff, you do a lot of damage with the Teleport now, but I really like the DR. You could try around and mess with it. I think until I get all the temperings for the Teleport damage, this isn't going to be an option, but we'll see. I could be eating my words. We're going to rank out Max Glass Cannon. If you're feeling too squishy, you can take out points in this. 1 rank Elemental Attunement, so that LHC crit strikes can reset a defensive. And this one's a little spicy. So I take 1 point Ice Armor, but I do go to Mystical. The reason being is that I am freezing and chilling enemies. I'm chilling enemies with my Ice Armor now. They eventually freeze with the Blizzard, and I'm dealing 15% increased damage to frozen enemies. It's all about stacking multis. Each separate multi that you stack really makes things hit the moon. So next, and that actually brings me to another thing, is where I'm going to take Hoarfrost. Let's just fix that real quick. That's nice. So, making the build better as I go along when I talk about it. So we have 2 points in the line of the elements. I like the 6% over the 3% so that we can get to the 40% DR from elites faster. We don't take mana shield. We're not spending 100 mana often enough. I would only take this if I was in a hybrid ball lightning, because it would be 2 ball lightning casts to get this to proc, and you could proc that on demand. I tried hybrid ball lightning. I'll talk about later the things that I tried and how I ended up where I ended up. And then we have the protection passive for our barrier, 6 ranks in Conj Mastery for damage and movement speed, and then we take the invoked lightning spear to stun enemies. So I just have 1 point in Blizzard just to get it. We got the 3 ranks in Dev Blaze, that makes 6 for 60% damage to crowd control enemies with crits. Now we have Hoarfrost, so 9% increased damage to chilled enemies, 18% to frozen. We take the 3 points in Electrocution to get 15% damage from enemies we crit, and just the 2 points in UC. We just want the attack speed. And last but not least, my favorite passive, Ver's Mastery. Close enemies are going to take 20% more damage from you and deal 25% less damage to you when you crit them for 3 seconds. So there are some flex skill points. I'll talk about them real quick. So you're going to need 3 points in either Chain Lightning or Ball Lightning, so those stay. I like the 3 points in Destructive Charge Bolts, but here you could take off the points in Flame Shield to just have 1. You could also take off the points in Ice Armor to just have 1. You could take off the point here. And where that opens you up, and you could also not take Hoarfrost, where that opens you up to take is you could take Icy Veil if you're having barrier issues where they're not lasting long enough. You could take the 3 points in Icy Veil, and you also could take the points in Shocking Impact. I know it got a buff. I don't know how much value I was getting out of it, and I've just been really trying to stack like multi-damage, and then survivability, so that's sort of where the points left Shocking Impact, and they went into the Mystical Ice Armor, and now they're in the Hoarfrost. So, Arc Lash is one of the few Sorcerer builds that actually has some like flex to its skill tree, where you don't feel like you're short on points. You always have like 4 to 7 points that you can kind of mess around with. So that's what I like about Arc Lash. So now, all right, get ready, close your eyes. Alright, this is the most juiced board I've ever made. It is an 8 glyph with 2 legendary nodes. The legendary nodes are Frigid Fate and Enchantment Master, and I'm really proud of this one. So, first is Tactician. This is our first multi, 1.1x damage, and it should last 8 seconds because we only have 3 defensives on the skill bar. If you're feeling too squishy, you can take Reinforced on here. Just be wary, it's going to cost an extra point, and you can get that by dropping these 2 points and putting the willpower there to free up the other point. So you could put Reinforced here. That's preference. We come up here, we take the Enchantment Master, and then our second board is Elementalist. It's going to be 1.15x damage against basically all enemies because we're Firebolt enchant, shock skills, and then the Blizzard. Next, we have 44 points in Destruction. We grab this little DR Burning here, so that's pretty nice. That's on Burning Instinct. Our next board is Ceaseless Conduit. We take a 39 points in Control for 1.2x damage to stunned or frozen enemies, 10% to chilled. Super goated glyph. Not good on bosses until you stagger them. But because I have 8 glyphs in this build, I'm not having issues choosing between. It's usually a choice of 2 between Flame Feeder, Exploit, and Control, because you usually just run out of glyphs. But the 8 boards are nice because you get all 3. Next is Enchanter. We got a fat 130% non-fizz damage. That's super nice. Rounded out with our Frigid Fate, 1.3x. And then we pop up here, and we just take Charged for another 1.15x. I tried Conjurer on this build to try and get the Conjurations to last longer. and it just wasn't it. So that's sort of the reason. Yeah, this is the reason why the points are in chain lightning right now. It's to make crackling. You could always just take lucky hit chance. Like you could drop the 3 points out of the chain lightning or the ball lightning, but then you would have to put them in the lucky hit chance to make crackling, and it just doesn't proc that much. I found that 3 points in chain lightning makes more. Uh, so we have charged here for 1.15x, and our last two boards. I was going to say our last board. Our last two boards is game connection loss from server. Our last two boards are look at that transition. We have Flame Feeder for 1.1x damage against burning enemies. That's direct damage. I don't think Paingorger scales like this. I don't think Paingorger's procs are direct damage, but this is going to help with boss damage and just like everything that you are hitting with your Arc Lash directly. And so for some of these, we're not taking the max in the decks because we're stretched thin on points. But it doesn't matter because the multis matter more than the additives, especially now in this meta where we have so much additive on gear, all the damage to the close, the huge vuln rolls. So additive on the Paragon board like means nothing really, not nothing, but means so much less than it used to because we have so much like damage to close and additive now that you really like most boards should be 8 boards and you just take like sort of the bare minimum in the dex Rex to like get the damage up from the glyph. You just want that additional bonus, that 1.1x. And then last but not least, on static surge we have exploit for 1.1x damage to vulnerable enemies. So well, not too vulnerable enemies, but like after you hit a vulnerable enemy a few times, it lasts for 6 seconds, 1% per hit, and it goes up to 10%. So you're basically rolling around permanently at 10x damage. So, yeah. PTR has been good. I hope you guys enjoy the build, but just temper your expectations. Not expectations, but realize that, like, pit level 200 it's not that difficult, but the issue is randomly you will get one shot. Just I do too. It took me a while to get that flawless run, but I think I can get them more now that I have the build really dialed in and that I'm able to kill the bosses faster now. Because for a while I was running. I'll tell you the things that I tried. So, one, I tried the. I'm just gonna wait. Take a breather so that I can actually show you what I tried. So, come on. So the first thing that I tried was Fractured Winterglass Amulet. I did get a lot of value out of it. It has value. It's good. But I found I didn't need the frozen orbs and they weren't doing enough damage to justify losing a 1.5x damage, a 45% storm swell on the amulet. So it just wasn't worth it. You can run it. It's fine. What you would do is you would move storm swell to the focus and you'd lose rapid. Because storm swell is more important than rapid. So I tried that and I had better runs with just the normal amulet. And another thing to try, especially now, so what you can try is I was running gravitational for a while with over Blizzard. I was just existing with the 4 Talrasha stacks, and I was running ball lightning on the skill bar, and I was running gravitational. So that's something you can do. I don't exactly know what you would drop. You'd either drop conceited or you would drop rapid for gravitational, and that can be kind of nice because it helps with the boss damage. You get the hard cast of the ball lightning orbit around you, and also so do the ones from unstable currents. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with where I ended up. I tried a lot of things, failed a lot of times, died a lot, reset my game a lot, did a lot of masterworking and chanting, but I'm really happy with this build. I'm comfortably going to say that it is in low S tier. Frozen Orb is a huge outlier. Blizzard's definitely just going to be better because it bosses better. But I think with where I've gotten this build to, it does feel S tier. Definitely the bottom of S tier, but it's there. Alright guys. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for, if you stayed this whole time, you're a godsend listening to me ramble, but I hope now that you know a ton about this build, So
And
last thing to note, just to reiterate, if you're saying that this build feels too squishy, you can drop concussive off of here, and you would drop that for aspect of might, and that's this right here. Basic skills grant 20% damage reduction for 7 seconds. And then our next one that we would drop is in the Paragon. I'll repeat this again. You would drop Tactician for, let's find it, reinforced 15% DR when you have a barrier. But I found the reason that you die is most often you get nuked the second that your barrier goes down. So you can take reinforced here, but you're going to need to find an extra point, and you can find that point by taking on the second board by taking out these 2 points and just putting one there, and that's your extra point. All right, peace.